All right, Shiti Manghani, GM, welcome to the podcast.
GM guys, pleased to be here.
Thanks for joining us. Everyone right now is buzzing about Stepn, and we will get into the specifics and the logistics of the app. But let's just start with that fact, the kind of moment that the app is having. Talk to us about how that feels, and have you been surprised just how quickly that's become, to me at least, it seems like the crypto tool or crypto app of the moment?
It feels great, first of all. It feels surreal, almost. Were it not for the fact that all of us, are working 24/7, it would almost seem incredible, unbelievable. So, yeah, that's that. Overall, just stepping back, looking at the macro environment, it took, airplane industry, 68 years to get to 50 million users. And then it took Twitter about 2 years, and then Pokemon Go some months. So Web3 overall is squeezing that space of compounding growth, of compounding usership, because we give everything back to the users, don't we? So not very surprising, but super great.
You guys are 50 million users?
Not yet, but we'll soon be there.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's where we're heading.
Jeff here. I'm curious to know, you guys are suddenly everywhere. And, 3 months ago, no one had heard of you. So I'd like to know a little more about where the company came from. And you personally, what did you do before and how did you come to crypto?
Sure. So I'll first answer the first part. How did Stepn come about? So the founders, Jerry and Jon, two of the smartest people I've come across, actually, just caught up over a beer, and they're based in Australia. So there was a few things that were happening. One, something was happening with Axie. Second, Australian bushfires were going on. And third, they had background in gaming and crypto both. So they were just putting their minds together, getting bored with the lockdown and thinking of what can be done to top up in the ecosystem over and above what has been done. So something that has user demand, something that is good for the health and for the planet, and something that would solve the problem of people in COVID lockdown. And that's how Stepn came about, where we're trying to nudge people towards healthy lifestyles. We want to be this bridge between Web 2 and Web 3, onboarding the next 100 million users, if not billion. And we believe in contributing positively towards carbon neutrality. So that's how Stepn came about. My story is slightly long-winded. I'm an electronics engineer and MBA by background. I basically love to travel over the world, doing tech, fitness, and businesses. I started out in India, but very soon enough moved to US in PepsiCo, worked in digitizing their global brands, and then came across, worked in Europe, and then about 7 years ago in the UK. So I founded my own startup for posture correction, using AI and machine learning models. And then I started researching the blockchain space. So I first, bought my Bitcoin in 2017 and just completely forgot about it. And then, funnily enough, I was a follower, or I am a follower of effective altruism. So big believer in Will and Sam Harris. And that's how I discovered the other Sam, the more crypto relevant Sam. And believe it or not, he became the reason that I got into the space. Up until then, in my mind, I was very naive and sort of, pretty much how internet in early days was believed, like everything pre-90s was illegal, everything was shady and that kind of image for Web3, which is, and then hearing Sam, SBF now, Sam Bankman-Fried, talk about crypto kind of changed my mind. And then I just got interested in how we could still do good and still make money, and still get people onboarded to this beautiful platform. So long story short.
I'm just going to cut you off 1 sec. I just think it's so interesting how many people SBF has brought to crypto. We've heard that story so many times, but I'm remiss. I should have asked before. My understanding, Dan's actually used Stepn. I have not, but from a distance, it looks like Strava meets Web3. Is that a fair summary? Just describe Stepn in 2 sentences.
Yeah, absolutely perfect. Strava plus Pokemon Go would be Stepn.
I think they might use that description in their marketing, Jeff.
We have. So one of my earliest tweets was that, yeah.
Nice. Well, I love what you said about, trying to encourage people to get out there and get active. I mean, maybe there was a perfect storm moment too of launching during the pandemic. What have you guys seen so far? What are any trends or observations you can share about the type of people who are using this? Because as I said to start us off, it feels like everyone on crypto Twitter is talking about this. But of course, eventually, obviously you'd want to open the gateway a little more to newcomers. And sometimes that can be tough when something, requires a few crypto steps.
Yeah, sure. So we've had learnings along the way as well. So I would say three big ones on the kind of users. The first one is a user who started using this simply for physical and mental health improvement, right? So they come in for incentives and then they stay for health. All as human beings, we're wired to not read a book, but lay back on a couch and watch TV. We're not wired to eat greens. We're wired to eat cake. So incentives help that, pretty much like philosophy, pretty much like a willpower, pretty much like a knowledge, wisdom. Incentives help and trigger that initial bump, but that's that. Then they socialize, meet community, onboard their families, their spouses, their moms, dads, mother-in-laws. We've seen that in hordes in our Discord and Telegram anecdotally, but we've seen them in our offline events across the world. So Japan, Korea, US, UK, Australia, as we speak, Greece. There's a website, in fact, created by our community, nothing to do with us. It's called stepnworld.com. And it lists all the events happening across beautiful places across the world. So just to sum it up, one, the impact on people's health and people's social life that the app has made has been beautiful. Second, people have onboarded non-crypto natives. So a third of our users are actually non-crypto natives now. We started out as pretty much like a crypto native app. And the third being this offline impact. It's pretty much very diametrically opposite to this dystopian myth of Ready Player One. So I like to call it as Ready Player None. So about 100,000 people running every minute in reality, not in metaverse.
Okay, I just got to be, I don't mean to be that guy, but I'm going to be the skeptic here. I'm a runner. I use an app called Runkeeper that I really like. My wife uses Strava. Maybe I'm cheap. I don't pay for it, but I'm happy with what I got. And then I see Stepn, and I love crypto, but it's like, wait a minute, I have to spend $600 for NFT sneakers. Come on. Explain why someone like me should use Stepn when I've got a great little app and I like running for free.
Sure. So gyms, I believe, are the biggest charities in the world, right? So people invest thousands of pounds upfront and maybe end up going 6 or 7 times. One would look at this as an investment into health, number one. Number two, investment into health with a mindset of NFTs. I mean, one could arguably question why pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for monkey JPEGs, dare I say, or just art on the wall, not even NFTs. We can go back in time. So what happens is there is a different mindset with regards to digital money, crypto money, NFTs, and how do we use that for positive benefit, for social impact is something that we're solving for and hoping to do well there.
Okay, but I confess you didn't really answer my question. I mean, why would I do this? If I want to help the world and give to charity, I can do that already, and I do. If I want to go running with my app and see what my friends are doing, I've got Strava. Why would I use this?
To build a habit. In one short sentence, to build a habit. So habits are a function of triggers, benefits, and then a cue. I think you and your wife are phenomenal if you've been doing this for months, years. Most people actually, statistics say, fail to do this beyond 6 months. So how do you make this a habit? Because going out, walking does not have a gym fee. Doing push-ups does not need any hardware or software. And yet obesity is a pandemic. Yet we deal with cardiac issues on a scale that we've never had as humanity. So of course the answers are very simple, which is to eat healthy and do some fair bit of exercise every day, but people are not doing it. And that takes me back to what I was earlier saying. And that happens because humans are not wired to do the things that they should be doing. That's 10,000 of evolutionary brain. So solving for building habits, building healthy incentives, and in a way that is socially rewarding. with your spouse, with your family, with your pets, everybody.
Yeah, I'm glad, Shiti, that you said that about, a lot of people make a resolution to run more and then they give up pretty quickly. I was kind of waiting for you to say that, the idea that you're earning crypto to go for a run, or I guess for a walk or a jog, will keep people coming back. And obviously at first, when they first sign up, because they have to buy that sneaker NFT, they're trying to make enough back in the token, GST, to, pay back that first purchase. Let's talk a little bit about the specifics there and the mechanics. I've got my phone here in front of me. As Jeff mentioned, I've been using the app, trying it out for about 3 weeks. And when I run, I usually go for a while, like 8-9 miles. Now, the kink or the wrinkle when it comes to Stepn is, you're only earning for a certain period of time when the energy is at its, full bar. Is that right? Can you kind of explain that to people? Because the first couple of times I used it, I'm looking at the phone while I run and I'm seeing that at some point I stopped earning the GST token. And I'm saying, well, what gives? I'm still running here. I've still got a lot of time left in my run.
Absolutely. So you're absolutely right, Dan. There is, one should not forget that Stepn is a game-like app at the end of the day. So there are game-like features. Energy is one of them, which is directly related to the number of sneakers you hold. So for the first sneaker, you get 2 energy, which allows you to run for 10 minutes. So maybe 1 energy is for 5 minutes. But then as you collect more sneakers or you mint more sneakers using your GST, with 3 sneakers, you will get 4 energies. With 6 sneakers, you will get 9 energies, and so on and so forth. So as you collect more sneakers, as you breed or mint more sneakers, your energy cap goes up, your GST cap goes up. The GST cap also goes up as you level up your sneakers. So there are several in-game features like gems, badges, leveling up, minting, repairing that use GST, and that is a healthy thing for the ecosystem or the burn and sink mechanisms. So yeah.
Yeah, I do like the idea of, doing something to earn crypto, because I remember with Axie Infinity, the game kind of sucked, frankly, and it didn't sound like fun. But if I can do something I like walking or running to get crypto, sounds great. But, I still can't get past the $600. And also in terms of breeding more sneakers, we saw that problem with Axie. It was almost a bit like as long as more people were coming into it, more money came into it, and then boom, it's all the bottom fell out. So is that a concern with Stepn? Something similar might happen?
Yeah, so which is why, Jeff, you're absolutely right. We have we've taken hard goals, like installing the activation code system. To be honest, it would be very easy for us to sit back and just app grow wild and reach 3 million daily active users. And as brash as that may sound, it is actually the easier thing to do. The harder thing, which is what we've done, is actually funnel the inflow of the users so that the new users don't end up becoming the exit liquidity for the older users. So yes, we're absolutely paranoid about supply and demand, not just of GST.
So you know how crypto works. I love you are so candid with that.
One's got to be smart, right? So we are monitoring GST, GMT, and sneaker floor prices and ensuring that the supply-demand mechanics are sustainable and long-term.
And that's interesting about the collecting, that Shiti, that collecting more, begets more earning. If someone like me, say, were using this, just attempting to use it in the most basic sense, that is, I already run, so this will track my run, and I'll earn crypto for running, and I didn't want to amass more sneaker NFTs, could you hypothetically just continue to use the one you bought for entry and continue to earn?
Absolutely,
Are there people doing it that way?
Absolutely, you can. Yeah, I would recommend maybe try 3 DYOR, but yes, if you wanted to just do 1, you can absolutely use the 1 sneaker. Whatever GST you earn, you can keep repairing, leveling up, and you can keep earning. Yeah, there are people who just use that and reward themselves with a cup of coffee or a piece of cake at the end of their runs. People have made such cute videos. And so this adds to your point, Jeff, as well. Like there is some sort of behavior change that we have unknowingly accomplished, if I may add. And that is so surprising. Like it could be related to the hormones, endorphins, and whatever not, that makes exercises addictive, that it is. Like all the power gym users know that. But this experience of, rewarding your monkey brain at the end of the run with buying that cup of coffee with the GST that you've earned is a fabulous reward mechanism. And whatever works for people to make that behavior loop work better for them.
That's so interesting that you talk about using GST to buy a cup of coffee, since, Jeff and I are old hands here. I first read about Bitcoin in 2011. I think Jeff was like 2012, 2013. We know that from the beginning, a criticism that people had that I think still is unfair is like, oh, Bitcoin has failed because I can't use it to buy my daily cup of coffee. When it comes to using GST for actual purchases, and we always love when we can ask about recent news, the token was sort of up for a while, heady days, and then recently had a real price correction because of a decision you guys made to say, we're no longer going to support users in China because of geolocating and tagging. Tell us a little bit about that decision and what the impact has been, and getting users on board with exactly why we're doing this.
Yeah, sure. So the China step was in order to actively respond to the relevant regulatory policies in China. Essentially, what we decided was to stop providing GPS and IP location services to the accounts in accordance with the local law on July 15. So that gives the users a fair bit of notice. I must add here, though, that Stepn has always complied with the relevant rules since the creation, so since the beginning, and therefore we've not engaged in any business proactively. But this time what we've done is we've done this step proactively and therefore put higher pressure on ourselves to comply with the requirements. And we're not the only ones here. So companies like Didi, even Nike with their running app, running app, NRC, also face similar regulations.
Yeah,
did you have many users in China?
People. Go ahead, Dan.
Sorry, did you have many users in China as it was?
So we have a lot of Chinese users. That's one strong community that we have, but it's spread across the world. So mainland China is not that significant population. So it should be fine. Again, one of the things is that we're going for long-term thinking. So yes, these are steps that may hurt us, as it did on that day, bringing the price down, which we've recovered back in the short term. But better now than later, and it's good for long-term thinking.
Yeah, that's a mature approach too. And China's hard too. I always get the impression that the Chinese government doesn't like anyone tracking its citizens except the Chinese government. So that's not an easy market. But I have to confess, in this conversation, I have gotten a little interested. I do want to see what it's all about. But take me through the economics and tokenomics of it. So I have to lay out, maybe $600 my sneakers, although there might be promo codes on Discord, hint, hint. So I hear, but how do I, recoup the money, and how do I sell my GST? Do I just go into Binance and swap it for ETH or fiat or whatever I want?
So first of all, the app is very, very advanced for user interface in that regard. So our app, Stepn app, has inbuilt marketplace. So you can buy the sneakers on our app itself, and you can convert them in USDC and SOL in the app itself. So that is what makes it easier for even non-crypto users to onboard easily. Said that, yes, you're absolutely right. You download the app from the App Store, both Apple and Google. You buy the NFT sneaker, and right away, just like Dan did, you go out for a run and you automatically start accumulating GST once your energy bar has come to the 2 level, or 4 or 6, 9, depending on how many sneakers you've got. Once you start earning GST, you will need to use those GSTs to level up, repair, mint, or other game features that you have. Should you not want to do that, yes, you can swap them to USDC and buy yourself a cup of coffee by converting it to USD in Binance.
Shiti, let's talk about NFTs writ large. I wanted to jump in earlier, but you made a joke about monkey JPEGs. And Jeff and I have a lot of fun getting everyone's take on, the NFT boom, and then according to some publications, bust, which didn't actually happen, and now boom again. And then we had the recent market correction. And we always ask people, even if they're not representing an NFT platform, of course, in your case, you really are. I mean, an app here that is a great example of NFTs that have utility, an actual use case. When you look around at the NFT landscape right now, especially there are more examples of NFTs that are just PFP collections, profile pic. They're just a flex. Now, of course, the people in those communities would say, no, it's your access ticket to a community and it's a club. Fine. But they're not like, Stepn, which the NFTs have a direct application and use case. What do you make of where everything is headed and what might happen with the most high-priced PFP NFT collections?
Yeah, we strongly are big believers in NFTs. So I just want to say that up front. We believe that tokenomics lay the foundation of Web3 and NFTs are the bricks in the walls of Web3. So together they are a force to reckon with. In terms of utility and the use cases, I think there are four key characteristics of NFTs, right? So there's transparency, there's indivisibility, there's interoperability, and there's royalties. So put together those four, we're only entering the phase one, is what I say, of the use cases. Broadly speaking, there are two kinds of use cases here for NFTs. There's secular and there's broad. Secular, I mean, which is limited to the ecosystem of NFT projects, pretty much like Stepn. And then there's broader use case, which is broader use case for humanity. So when I say secular, it means staking, exclusive benefits, token gating, redeemability, all the kinds of things that is happening and not happening in NFT projects right now. It could be breeding, it could be membership. When we talk about broader application, here's where things start to get serious. So authentication, IP, real estate, ticketing, voting, insurance, even music. And as the technology matures, because a lot of impediment is not just the use case, it's also to do with the tech ecosystem and how we do get the millions adoption into it. I'm sure we'll get there. So we've already heard Instagram and Spotify using NFTs in a limited way with the creators. And we're getting on-ramp solution as crypto wallets with Robinhood and Coinbase. So yes, I mean, with time, we are moving towards that big mass adoption in NFTs.
Yeah, I share that perspective, Shiti. I think like monkey JPEGs don't do it for me. I don't want to Bored Ape, but I do see the uses in music and collectibles and now, athletics. I think it's a real thing. But speaking of the tech ecosystem you described, I noticed, the NFTs are minted on Solana, which is, a popular, fast-growing blockchain, but it's obviously it's not Ethereum. So what's the thinking there? Why did you choose Solana? Is it possible there will also be Stepn tokens on Ethereum one day, or just tell us a little bit about the blockchain ecosystem and why you went the way you did.
Of course. So yes, so Solana initially we picked up. It's one of the developer-friendly chains to build, but additionally, one of the three key missions again at Stepn is that of carbon neutrality, and it being a POS chain that helps the cause. So it became the chain of the choice. We've so far had great experience with Solana. Of course, with high transaction volume like ours, there are issues on days like this. So Solana has been great. In terms of multi-chain, we, moved to BSC as well. So launched on Binance Smart Chain with our most recent drop of ASICs. So we launched our co-branded NFT sneaker of ASICs on Binance Smart Chain. And yes, I think we do believe in a multi-chain future. So we've just recently launched another initiative called Realms. The concept of realms is where the game takes a fork, right? So here, each realm exists on a new server, could be a new chain with a new brand partner. And here is where people can create their own game narratives, their own color schemes. It could even be not an NFT sneaker. So with this initiative, we hope to include even more users who we've not tapped into with our core Solana and BSC chain games. So broad base, yeah.
Sounds like Shiti, and of course we love to break a little news when we can. Sounds like we might see NFTs from Stepn on other chains besides Solana soon.
I'm not at liberty to say any more at this point in time, but yes, time will tell.
Okay, time will tell. One thing I wanted to make sure I ask too, we were talking earlier about the price of GST. How dependent right now do you think the app's success is on price and markets? Because again, all the chatter, a lot of the chatter I see on crypto Twitter is people saying, look how much I earned from my run. And sometimes they're stating it in terms of fiat. Like they say, wow, I just earned $15 to go on a run. So, are you kind of monitoring prices, and especially after the overall crypto market crash we saw in the last 3 weeks, how did that affect new user signups?
Yeah. So new user signups have not slowed down at all. So that's reassuring. And if anything, when the price goes down, the people think it's on sale. So we get even more influx of users. We've crossed 800,000 daily active users, and we've crossed 3 million monthly active users. So thankfully, the user inflow is not slowing at any rate. In fact, there is just too much complaining about lack of our activation codes, if anything. In terms of the larger macro market crash, I think that I would have been skeptical had it not happened, to be quite honest. I mean, right from the very big picture of what is happening globally with COVID and supply issues in China, people believe that it's already under recession, with Europe definitely under recession, reeling from the war and the impact on gas prices, the real gas prices, and US with money printing and stuff happening, now quantitative tightening. So major economies across the world kind of in recession, that macro impact distilling down and trickling down to then some events that have happened in crypto, let's just say, have triggered where we are. But I believe better now than later again. And this market is just perfect time for genuine projects to build. It allows us to take long-term technical risks. It allows us and the whole ecosystem to get rid of all the noise, all the fluff, and just focus on building the product, getting the best talent, and hope, not just hopefully, we are absolutely confident that Stepn is going to emerge as one of the best products once this bear market is over.
Yeah, that's a really interesting observation, or not observation, but it leads into something. Namely, I like to ask founders and builders who you model yourself on. I mean, Stepn's obviously something new, but do you see yourself as, what companies do you admire? Blockchains do you like? Do you, want to be like Binance? Do you want to be like Nike? When you look for inspiration, who does Stepn look to?
Binance is a great example, not just of building product, but also of the attitude, focusing on community, focusing on building. Forget about the noise, forget about the trolls, because something like what CZ says, value is not created by price action. Value is created by products that people use. And at Stepn, we'd like to believe in that. Flexing your incentives and your earnings is great. I think that comes naturally to people. But using that app day in, day out to run, because once you've run on Stepn for 7 days and 10 days, it becomes almost useless to walk and not being counted on Stepn on 11th day. That behavior change and that product usage is extremely precious to us. So that is our holy grail. Onboarding the next bunch of users in millions and billions from Web 2 to Web 3 is our holy grail. Contributing to carbon neutrality, which we do. So we commit $100,000 every month towards carbon credit removals with our partners, Nori on blockchain, is precious to us. So yeah, and personally, I just love SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried, Vitalik, and outside of crypto space, Naval. He's one of the clearest thinkers we've got today.
Mm. Yeah. And as my last question, Shiti, I like that Jeff asked about companies that you're watching. What about other uses of NFTs that you think are really interesting? I mean, you guys are really, again, I want to stress this. I think you guys are doing something legitimately cool and interesting with NFTs. What are a couple other projects that you have your eye on that are also using NFTs in innovative ways?
I think we would be that project. And the best use case I feel would be music. And it goes really well with what we are building in terms of running that time with yourself outdoors. There's a reason why our app doesn't work in gym. We want people to be outdoors, to be disconnected with tech and to be connected with nature. So it fits in with our mission very beautifully. And I believe music is a very inspiring use of NFTs.
So interesting. That's because obviously, when I go running with my Runkeeper, I listen to music. I listen to Apple Music. Some do Spotify. But I think you're hinting at a world where maybe, Stepn will supply music in the form of NFTs or something. I'm trying to get my head around it, but it seems, because I've written a lot about NFTs and music. And so you're saying you see these two worlds coming together.
Yeah, and empowering content creators. I'm not going to say more here, but again, in the spirit of giving power back to users and back to creators who are out there, who are contributing to community, letting them own a piece of Stepn.
Okay, you've sold me, Shiti. I was skeptical, but I now really want to try it. I still can't get by that $600 though. I mean, that's like 3 pairs of nice shoes, or that's like, that's a trip somewhere. Is there, and as you can tell, I'm probably cheap, but is there a discount code? I've heard on Discord or somewhere. What's the easiest way to get in and try this thing without laying down $600?
So we absolutely don't do discount codes and stuff. It would be unfair to our existing users. We do community giveaways through our contests which happen on Discord and Twitter, sometimes with also our partners. So that could be one way. The second is we're absolutely thinking of inclusivity. So at some point down the line, maybe back into this year or next year, we will plan to release rental system would allow people to rent sneakers from existing sneaker holders. So therefore a win-win for both parties. So that's that.
That's neat. Yeah, I just have to push you a little bit further on this too. There's also the equity component too. A lot of the best runners in America and the world are often from quite like low income, underprivileged areas. So is there sort of a scholarship thing or something built in? Maybe that's what you're saying before, to allow people who might not be able to afford to, pay to play to participate as well.
Exactly. So yeah, that is the thought process here, because a lot of current users come from Japan, Australia, US, UK. So a lot of developed part of the world as well. So to make it inclusive and again have more users become part of our ecosystem, rentals would be one way to go about it. Realms is another good, interesting way to go about it, where each user base, maybe from one community, can then define the game narrative and gameplay.
Sounds good. A lot of things in the pipeline. And it sounds like if you are on the app already, or even if you're not yet, it sounds like people should get into the Discord to see all the goodies that they can get.
Check out our Twitter, head to the App Store and download it. You'll have to really work hard on getting activation codes. A good look on that. But yes, please follow us on Discord. Our weekend AMAs are brilliant. Founders, every weekend they've been doing it for the last 8 months, and our users just love them for that. That is the best thing about them, that they have the power to think at 30,000 feet, but then really come down and execute it like no one else. And that's the culture at Stepn. We execute 24/7 nonstop.
Nice. Well, Jeff, you and I and the rest of the Decrypt team, next time we're all together, maybe in the fall in New York, we'll have to do, we'll organize a Stepn run.
Cool. Maybe we can have a race, Dan, and I'll bet to win your GSTs.
Nice. I like that. All right. Well, Shiti, thanks so much for joining us. Keep in touch, and we will certainly be bothering you again soon for news and updates as Stepn grows. Thanks.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Jeff. This was fun.